A high school in a German city has come under fire after teachers were instructed to report on students who, quote, pray provocatively. The letter was later shared on Facebook and sparked an uproar online.
In the last few weeks, it has increasingly been observed that Muslim students are praying, quite visibly to others, indicated by ritual washing in the bathrooms, the rolling out of prayer rugs, and by the students putting their bodies in certain positions. This is not permitted.
To discuss this further, I'm joined on the line now by political commentator Mohammed Ansar and Stephen Morris from the English Democrats. Welcome to you both, gentlemen. If you can hear me OK, Mo, I'd like to come to you first.
Yes.
The argument is these children are being disruptive. So isn't that appropriate behaviour then? Disrupted children, you take down their names and report them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these kids are being awful. I mean, they're being so disruptive. I mean, kids praying. I mean, whatever next? I mean, will they be talking about trying to find inner peace, spiritual enlightenment, maybe trying to live in tolerance and coexistence with their classmates? I think we should just put them all in a list. Make a giant building with barbed wire and high wall fences and put them all there. It will deal with the English Democrats problem, which is too many Muslims, too many immigrants, bringing their foreign ways to our shores and diluting our white, British, Christian Englishness. You're going to hear all these things parroted over and over again by the same far-right, bored, tired argument. So, come on then, let's hear it.
Stephen, your response?
It's quite surprising that he's already gone down the race card. We're here to discuss a religion in Germany. And the interesting point is that these people have been praying quite happily for quite a while. So why have they suddenly changed? These Islamists have gone out to cause a disruption in a school so that they can get media coverage and then play the victim card. It is quite simple, because there was no problems previously. The Islamists have suddenly changed what they were doing. They have caused a disruption in a school, and disruption in a school is not allowed under any circumstances. And they was right. They're not being stopped from praying. Even the Muslim Council of Germany says they're not being stopped from praying. So why have they suddenly decided to change from where they were praying to doing it in a way that is causing a disruption to the school? Because they're after media coverage and they're after playing the victim card. It's that simple. And obviously Mo's straight away gone for this white supremacist thing, which is completely ridiculous, because the English Democrats are in no way white supremacists or far right, and he needs to get his facts right, and it just shows their tact in coming out with name calling rather than discussing the issue of somebody praying in a school.
Mo, isn't that the point, though, that this is disruptive to all students? As I understand, Germany's supposed to be secular, the schools should be a secular place. Why can't these students carry out their religious pursuits at home or in another institution?
Is that to me?
It is to you, Mo, yeah.
Yeah. Look, if we want to dismantle this seriously, and I've worked as an educationalist, I've worked in schools and helped with chaplaincy and worked with young people of different faith backgrounds who want to express their faith. Now, in Britain, we have a very good system in England, actually, which says that we recognise that young students, learners within the educational environment have an opportunity and have a right to spiritual, moral, social and cultural aspects to their learning, their development and their personal lives and their academic lives. The Department of Education in Britain, Ofsted, all of these people recognise this. In fact, this forms part of the Ofsted framework now when you go and inspect British schools. So we understand that young people, to be happy, to be settled, need opportunities to express themselves. Now, I think it's bizarre to label these young kids as Islamists. We don't know about their political affiliations. Kids who are at school, who want to pray, or somebody in the workplace, if you haven't got a prayer room or a I think nowadays the best way is just to have a multi-use or a multi-faith prayer space or a quiet space. We can go and pray, contemplate. You don't need to necessarily have to believe in a God. You might just want some time out from your busy, stressful work and academic day, just time to reflect. We have busy lives. People need to take time out. If kids want to do that, provide facilities. If there aren't facilities, more or less many places that I've seen it, and this is the problem they're having in France. What do you do when mosques are full? What do you do when you don't allow to build more mosques? What do you do when you don't allow prayer spaces? People who are following spiritual journeys don't get an opportunity to express themselves. So they have to pray in a corridor, discreetly, against a wall, at the side. Yes, they have to use wash facilities. Try Heathrow Airport. Every terminal's got a wudu ablution wash facility. facilities. So let's not.
Come on, Mo, you're actually missing the point here. You're missing the point.
Okay, Mo, let's just give Stephen a chance to respond to this if we can. And Stephen, I just want to say, is that not a pretty good solution, Stephen? Just come up with a space for everybody to be able to use for whatever their religion.
Right. The situation is they have had places to pray, they have had places to go. There's been a sudden change why they've decided not to use them facilities and suddenly why to use an area.
That's not what the students have said. Sorry, Stephen, that's not what the students have said.
No.
That is not what the students have said.
No. They have suddenly changed their tact from having a place to go to prayer because it's not suddenly occurred. They've been there for a while, and then suddenly they decided to do it in an area that is a disruptive influence to the rest of the school.
Stephen, how do you feel about Muslims praying in public, Stephen? Stephen, how do you feel about Muslims praying in public?
Please,
Muslim kids. Yeah, but if you can just say, how do you feel about Muslim kids at school praying in public?
If you just let me finish my point, and then I'll answer your question, but I want to finish my point first. And my point is, if they wanted to pray somewhere, why haven't they raised this with the authorities in the school to say, have we got a room, our room's full, or go somewhere else? No, what they've done, they've decided to take it upon themselves to go into an area that's disruptive to other pupils, which should not be allowed, and they've been asked to stop it. And instead of going out and saying, well, where can we go? No, they become a disruptive influence because they wanted to play the victim card. It's quite simple.
All right, you've made that point about 4 times now. Now, if you can answer the question, which is, do you have an issue? Do you have an issue with Muslim kids? Do you have an issue with Muslim kids at school praying in public against a corridor in a quiet room to one side? Do you have an issue with that?
No, hang on. If it's disrupting the pupils, then I do. And this is the issue.
How is it disrupting pupils? If I roll out a prayer mat outside the supermarket and start praying, how does it disrupt anybody?
Dead simple, right? There's walking
and what
routes,
do you care? Why do you care where I pray?
Will you please let me finish, Mo? You know, you like to go on to a rant and ask questions, but you need to wait for the answers, OK?
I'm listening.
What I'm saying is, if somebody puts a mat in a place that is blocking access, blocking a route, maybe blocking fire accesses, causing disruptions, then it is clearly not allowed. If you go and pray outside Tesco's, if you're blocking a fire exit, then you have to be moved. It's a safety issue. It's not affecting your religious rights to pray. You just have to pray in a slightly different place.
And what is the English Democrats' policy on Muslim public? And what is the English Democrats' policy on Muslim public prayer? In outdoor spaces. Prayer?
Well, you can put
what's your policy? You're the chairman of the Northwest for the English Democrats. So what's your policy?
You're very good at interrupting without waiting for the answers, aren't you, Mo? You know, all this badgering is just typical of the Islamists of today who try to put across their view without waiting for the answers. Our view is the same as in France. If it becomes blocking accesses, if it's blocking routes, if it's blocking the general public from going about their normal business, then it should not be allowed. It's that simple.
Exactly. So this is indirect, known in the law as indirect discrimination. If you put on a condition which says that you have to wear a cycle helmet and Sikhs are prohibited from a job where they've got to do that, we make dispensation and allowances to allow people to wear a turban instead of cycle helmet in certain scenarios. You've created a condition there and a policy, as the French government have done, which is to say that if you congregate, look, you can't talk about interrupting, then talk over the top when I'm trying to answer you, right? You've created the same policy which they're doing in France, which says if you congregate for communal prayers and your prayer facility, which we're not allowing you to expand, or in this school situation, they had classrooms, then those classrooms are no longer made available. The schools then petitioned the school and said, please, can we have more prayer spaces and facilities available? The school refused and actually said, no, your right to religious freedoms comes secondary to the school's right to create its own policies as it sees fit. This was a direct attack on religious freedoms in Germany.
I'd like to answer your question. If you calm down a bit, Mo, we might be able to... If you calm down a bit more, we might be able to get some of your questions answered.
You'd love to paint me as an angry Muslim. The real issue is this.
Well, you obviously come across as an angry Muslim.
Let Stephen make the point that he wants to get across first. Go ahead, Stephen.
Right, if I finish my point, look...
Stephen, go ahead, and then we'll come back to
If I finish my point, which is the policy... After you, Stephen.
You've just gone on a rant, so what was your question? What was your question? If it's talking about France, then the public prayers in France are blocking highways. You're interrupting again. They're blocking highways, they're blocking public accesses, they shouldn't be allowed. That's simple. right? If they play
if you
in
have
the
a
middle of the road,
congregational
in the
prayer
middle
like
of the
Christmas
street,
Mass,
that's public
let me
access.
come back. If you have a Christmas Mass where so many congregants are at the church, they don't fit in the church, and you say you're going to have it outdoors, and suddenly somebody says, well, I can't get my car through here, I can't park it. It's like, calm down. It's only a couple of times a day. Give bigger mosques, make prayer spaces. I agree. Don't block doorways. Don't be a health hazard.
No, it's quite
same
simple.
with the burqa, same
It's a highway.
with the headscarf.
It's a highway.
There should be
Right.
civil...
Gentlemen, I want to bring the conversation back to schools if we can. And Stephen, I just want to say...
Him? He's going on a rant, and I'd like
Stephen,
to please make a point.
OK, go ahead, make your point, and then we want to speak about schools again.
The point is, what he's after is special treatment. What he wants is special treatment for Muslims to block traffic, to block public access for people twice a day. That's what he's just asked for. That's what you've just asked for.
Religious
you
freedoms.
Said if a car can't get through,
religious
so
freedoms,
what?
Not special treatment.
OK, religious freedom. Let's get on to religious freedom. Let's get on to the Muslim states that persecute Christians. OK, let's get on to the Muslim states that don't allow Israelis in. Let's get on to the Muslim states that persecute gays.
I was born in Watford. I've got no interest in ISIS right now. I was born in Watford. We're talking about conditions in Britain and in Europe and in Germany and in France. Here. What are you bringing up ISIS for?
I have not talked about ISIS. You brought in ISIS. I never mentioned ISIS.
Persecution of Christians and Islamic states. This is a nonsense. This is the same old rubbish. Look, we are British. We are talking about European rights and civil liberties and civil freedoms and religious freedoms. And you're saying we should clamp down on freedoms.
Point. Please let me clarify my point.
You're making a mess of it.
A little bit. Listen to the point. Listen to the point.
You're making a mess.
Guys, we've got a minute maximum. I want to give you 30 seconds each just to make a final comment.
No point did I mention ISIS, right? I mentioned the Islamic states. You've got all the other Islamic states, the Arab states, the Sikhs that won't allow Israelis in, and all the others in the North African states that, again, won't allow Jews or Christians and persecute Christians. I never mentioned ISIS because this is going in areas where ISIS don't exist. You mentioned ISIS, you played the race card, you've gone on a rant, and you cannot debate it because you know full well that blocking public access is wrong and you want special treatment.
Mohammed, final 30 seconds to you. Accusation of double standards.
OK. Thank you very much. Well, on the schools issue, children have a right to freedom of expression, learners have a right to freedom of expression and freedom of worship and freedom of conscience, so that it should be allowed. Schools should make facilities available. They should work with the Muslim communities and multi-faith student bodies to find good solutions. Multi-faith prayer spaces are important. The policies like the English Democrats and the French hard right are having, which is about clamping down on expression of your faith in public, is very, very dangerous because it's fueling the idea that somehow
we are not Muslims have less rights than
Christians, less rights than
equal
Jews,
treatment,
are somehow
not
the
special
other.
Treatment.
Mr. Interruptus, you need to calm down. You need to wind your neck in a little bit, mate.
Special treatment.
You're effectively the political wing of the English Defence League, all right? You're rife with
Gentlemen, I'm afraid I'm going to have to interrupt you both myself here. We're going to have to wrap things up at this stage.
Muslims should live by these guys.
I would like to thank you both for contributing to a very lively and interesting conversation, I'm sure. Stephen Morris from the English Democrats, Mohammed Ansar, political commentator there. Thank you both.
Cheers.
Thank you.